Hello, we're rolling. So today is August 2nd, 2018. Wait, yeah, that's right, 2018. Anyway, let's see. It's been a long day. So let me look at your question and kind of go through it for the video here. So you asked a lot. So we've got a lot to cover here. So the specific question, Chad, you said the two big ones are will and how can I stop a habit / addiction I have? And the other would be my marriage. Where is it headed? What should I do? If you read others, I'm very concerned with my dad's health. So I don't know if we'll get to your dad's health, but let's see how it goes. But we can definitely talk about the you-centered things. So you shared with me that the habit / addiction you have is bulimia and just craving to binge. In terms of your marriage, you said it's just been up and down, mostly down, and you're just not connecting. So let's take a look at all of that. So the deck you picked in this bag here, this is called the Smith-Waite Tarot Deck, Borderless Edition, so Pamela Coleman Smith. And then you picked deities as your other thing. So this is a mixture of two decks. This is a mixture of the Gods and Titans deck and the Goddesses and Sirens deck, both by Stacey DeMarco, but they're illustrated by Jimmy Manton, who is my favorite Oracle card illustrator. And let's go ahead, and I like to use this Oracle card as a way to set the tone for the reading. So let's see what you got. You got Hecate. This is illumination. So basically, one of the things that you can focus on is where can you shed light on things that are going on in your life right now? Where can you gain insight? I think like illumination is a good opportunity for journaling and doing activities where maybe meditation, things that bring up insight for you, depending on what your practices are. So that's an interesting card to draw for this reading. And the other, that 9-digit number, I chose this card for you with that 9-digit number you gave me using numerology. And similarly, I picked a tarot card for you. I like to save this one for the end. So this is the one that you picked that will sum up the reading or kind of give you some guidance and whatnot. So let's just draw a foundation of 3 cards to see what's going on in your life, and then we can address the more specific things. So let's do 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Everything's reversed. So shit is blocked in your life right now. So I would just say that you're going through a rough period. I think blockages, reversals for me, I don't usually change the meanings of the cards for reversals. I just look at reversals as energy that's blocked. And energy that is blocked, to me, makes things difficult or delays things. Things that are difficult take longer anyway, so those are two sides of the same coin for me. And you got a lot of blocked energy here. So I would say that, like, basically coming up on now, things have been moving super quickly for you. This is the 8 of Wands, so it's the suit of fire, the suit of will, creativity, things like that. And basically these are kind of like, if you look at the story of the minor arcana, these are kind of like you can think of them like arrows. They're kind of like the weapons of a battle of will. And so basically all of these wands are flying through the air, and they're all pointed in a singular direction. So there's definitely some focus here. Like everything's kind of focused on a target, and they're all heading like to the same area. So there's definitely focus. But the basic meaning here is speed, so that's why I said things look like they've been happening really quickly. So the fact that it's reversed is that it could mean that things that should have been happening quickly aren't happening so quickly. Or I would say that another meaning of this reversal is that focus, that everything is like kind of spot on, maybe things are not actually spot on, and that like the blockage is that the aiming of all of those projectiles is off. So I think that's what you're coming out of. I think in the present moment you are dealing, well, okay, so the devil card is addiction basically. So and you mentioned that, so no surprise here. Habits and addiction. So I actually love the devil card. So in relationships, I would say that the devil card points to can often point to codependency or feeling trapped. So on a relationship level, this could be, since you did ask about that, one aspect of where you are right now could be feeling trapped. I think addiction is the same thing. It's feeling trapped, like you have no, when things are bleak, you kind of resort to things that you think will solve the problem, but they also won't solve the problem, So the lesson of the devil card, if you look at the imagery in the card, so you've got the devil sort of seated on a pedestal here. He's actually an angel. He's got his hands in the as above, so below configuration, just like in the magician card. And this is, I should state too, this is a major arcana card, so this is a major life milestone, right? Like the major arcana is when they come up in a reading, usually like there's like some sort of milestone here. So I like the meal analogy I use is like do you remember what you had for lunch 2 days ago? No. But if you went to the most expensive restaurant in town and you had saved up for it and for a special occasion, that meal you'd remember. So that's like the milestone aspect of this. Like that's why it's like this is a stronger element, because it's a major arcana card here. So you notice the two human figures, they're both chained to the pedestal by this like iron ring here. And one of the reasons why this card represents addiction and addiction, sexuality, things like that, you've got the fire, and they've got tails, and so this on this side, like the sexuality and passion side, this is like fire. But on this side, it's grapes, and so a lot of people feel that refers to wine, and so alcoholism or some sort of addiction to something. Over here. Now, the reason why I love this card, though, is if you look really carefully at the chains around both of their necks, the chains are loose. So basically, they're stuck here, but they have the power to free themselves. But they're just not in a place where they can see the way out. They're not in a place where they feel like they can be free. But now that this card is coming up, I'm telling you, you can be free. You can take the chain off of your neck, and I always feel that that's the lesson behind this card, that you absolutely have the power to be free of your addictions, to be free of your of whatever is like holding you in place. And if it's a relationship, if there's like some codependency issues, you can be free of all of these things if you can figure out a way to remove the chain from yourself. Because a lot of our stagnancy is in our heads. So like it's about, how can you figure out a plan to take that chain off? And it's going to be tough because this is reversed, right? Now, the Knight of Cups over here, also reversed. So cups are about emotion, so emotional fulfillment, a journey of emotional fulfillment here. Knights go on quests or journeys, they are explorers. So I think, coming out, in order to come through the devil phase, like to get the chain off of your neck, definitely the advice in this card is to figure out where can you go on a quest for emotional fulfillment. So where can you be doing things and exploring things in your life that give you emotional fulfillment? That's the idea behind this card. And if you notice, even though the predominant elemental energy of this card is emotions and water, and there's like this little sort of a river in the background, and he's holding the chalice, there's also an element of air here. So there's the wings on his helmet. on the Knight's helmet. So that's definitely pointing out to you that, you know, you can use your intellect and your rational thought as well to figure out how to make this journey. So there's like a dual element nature in this card, predominantly water, but you know, the winged aspect, I think there's even wings on like attached to the heels of his armor here. There's definitely like a sense that you can use your intellect and reason and rational thought in order to facilitate this journey for emotional fulfillment. So I think that's kind of the foundation of where you are right now. Now, let me see which to address first. So, will and how can I stop a habit of addiction that you have? And then the marriage. So let me think for a minute about the best way to like position some cards for you to like examine the energy around your bulimia and your craving to binge. Well, I think I'm just going to do, like, even though it's kind of like plain Jane, I'm just going to draw 2 cards for you. I'm going to draw, like, an action to take and an action to avoid. So just some advice cards, like, around the bulimia. Let's figure out, like, some advice to do and what not to do. So let's do to do first. And let's draw one for what not to do. Let's see what we've got. So what to do, I think it's going to be difficult, but I would say that I would do something, and I think this I'm trying to think about how to combine this with the Knight of Cups. So we had just talked about exploring ways to emotional fulfillment using rational thought. Now we've got another element here, right? We've got the Pentacles. The Pentacles, this is the 8 of Pentacles. 8s are often about successes and whatnot. So this guy, he's just sitting on a bench and he's just practicing his craft. That's all he's doing. He's kind of removed himself from the city. So he's removed himself from distractions. So having a place where you can focus without distraction, I think, is an element of this card. So that's like a to-do. And also practicing doing something that you love, perfecting something that you love. This might be the fact that there's some sort of earthy, like pragmatic practice over here might be part of what you need to do on this exploration over here. So I don't know if there's a craft that you love, like knitting, crochet, I don't know, what are the people, scrapbooking, like any sort of thing where it involves making something. That might be something like to occupy your mind and your kind of your fingers and to keep yourself busy as you figure out ways to remove the chains, right? And to heal. You know, I'd like the thing that I'm thinking about for you, like with bulimia, I don't know if there's any sort of mental health issues that go along with that for you outside of the bulimia, like if that's linked to any sort of PTSD or anxiety, depression. But often, you know, shell-shocked soldiers from World War I, you know, they worked on that by knitting socks because that repetitive motion brings a lot of peace. And so I think over here, it's going to be hard, I think. I don't think, like, I would say that the reversal over here, the fact that this is going to be difficult, I think that might be saying that, you know, as a word of advice, this is probably not the only thing that you need to do in order to, you know, get the emotional fulfillment going on over here and to, like, shed your chains. But it's something you can do, and it's going to be difficult. I think you will be distracted, like the distraction element, like that he's forsaken by having left the city and kind of going off on his own. I think that, like, the fact that this is reversed, like that element, like the distraction, well, it might be more of an element that's there for you and it might not be so avoidable. But that might be something that can help you stay focused on this journey over here. Now, what not to do, this is a super interesting card about what not to do. So this is the 10 of Cups. This is kind of of the suit of Cups, this is like sort of it's the culmination of the suit of Cups in terms of the minor arcana, like the 1 through 10. So this is a happy family. This is the relationship you want. And honestly, this came up in the last reading that I did just before like I did your reading. So there's often echoes of things. Actually, this card came up too in the reading right before this one. So sometimes like there's echoes and themes, even though like the person I read for before you and you are just probably, I don't know, might not even be in the same country for all I know. But sometimes energetically, these things get linked in a given day. So this is kind of an interesting card because she had relationship problems too, the last person I read for. So, but as something not to do, I feel like what we're seeing here is like, this is the culmination of an emotional journey. So we talked down here about the fact that you need to start exploring to figure out where to find emotional fulfillment. So this is about having found it. This is about the happy relationship where everybody's all happy and whatnot. So as advice about what not to do, I feel like, you know, it's twofold. One, it's like, don't oversimplify the destination of this journey. Don't be like, I can't think of the adjective that's on the tip of my tongue. But if you're, this journey is going to be hard down here, right? So, I guess the phrase might be, don't just seize the first thing that comes along. Don't be hasty. Don't think just because you find maybe like along your journey, just because you maybe find a little something that gives you a little bit of emotional fulfillment, to think that your journey is over. Don't like celebrate your success too quickly. I think this journey is going to be long and hard. So I think, you know, you might encounter things that bring you that emotional fulfillment, the culmination of the emotion, you know, but I think the advice here is to remember that each stage along your journey, there are going to be multiple stages. You're going to find multiple things. You're going to need to keep working at it, and you're going to need to persevere. So don't stop short. Don't celebrate your success too early. In this whole journey with your bulimia, this could also be. I don't know anything about bulimia, honestly, but like the thing that popped into my head is like how, you know, when a lot of people who diet, for instance, have a cheat day where, you know, like you just like, I've been doing good, so let me let my guard down. I think the other advice here might just be the whole, you're going to be having some successes that you can celebrate, but, you know, don't let your guard down. That might, I think, be another, like on an emotional level, understand that, you know, if you've been battling something for a lifetime, a few weeks of success might not be an indicator that you really have won the battle. I feel like the battle probably will be ongoing and long and hard to fight. So I think the word of advice here is like, don't... It's not like, I don't want to say overconfident. That would be more like a swordsy type thing or like a page type thing to say to you. I just feel like, yeah, don't, remember that it's a journey, not a destination, and don't celebrate success too early. I think that's what the cards are saying over here. Now, I'll pause on that topic. I don't know if it'll come up again, but let's look at one of your other questions. So your marriage. You said that your marriage, it's been up and down, mostly down, you're not connecting. Let's just do the standard romance, sort of like checking out the energies between the two of you. So I'm going to draw 3 cards. I'm going to draw a card for your energy in the relationship, his energy in the relationship, and then what it looks like between the two of you in the relationship. So let's pull those 3 cards. Let's pull one for you. Let's pull one for him. And let's pull one for the energy between the two of you. I'm going to pull both of these. I can't decide. So I don't usually do that, but let's pull both of them. Okay. Rubber mat. Come on, there we go. Okay. Oh, okay. And then he is over here. This was you. This is him. Okay. And then let's take a look at the... Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, okay. I think that... Let me move these down because I think that might be off camera at the top there. So, okay. So your energy, I feel like this really ties into the whole quest for emotional fulfillment down here, and for what, all of this stuff. Like, so here, this is kind of like the basic definition of this card is boredom, but I don't like that word so much. I think, monotony might be a better word in some way. So if you take a look at the figure in this card, so this is, again, cups, it's water, it's emotional things, right? So he's staring at 3 empty cups. He's kind of looking forlorn. He's under this tree. He's got his arms folded. He's just discontent. And he's so fixated on these 3 cups that he can't see this hand emerging from a cloud that's offering him a 4th cup. When does that ever happen, right? So this is definitely a divine offering. So it harkens to the imagery of the aces, where all of the aces are hands like divinely offering you the energy of the suit. So here's another opportunity where he is being offered the energy of the suit, like some an emotional fulfillment or something like that. But he can't even see it because he's fixated on what he doesn't have. So this is one of those things. And so this is your energy in the relationship. So I feel like, where you are is you're in an emotional state where you're fixating on what's wrong in the relationship and what you don't have, instead of recognizing what you do have and maybe the new things that are being offered to you. You might be missing them because of the baggage, your emotional baggage that you're carrying around from whatever maybe hasn't been working in the past. And I know that that's hard to get over. But, energy is about the present moment. So like, if you don't give up the last however many years of the relationship, and like, if you don't like let go of the things that were bad in the past and you're carrying those with you, you can't appreciate what's good now. So I think, this is where what it looks like your energy is in the relationship. So I feel like as a part of the quest for emotional fulfillment, we need to like turn the frown upside down. I think like one of the kind of the exercises you can do to change, because you have free will. This is not predicting anything. This is not telling you how things have to be. Everybody has the power to do new things. They have the power to change their destinies, right? So I think a great exercise to do if you don't like the energy of this card is that you would journal. And keeping a gratitude journal is one of those basic sort of crunchy granola things that all the spiritual gurus recommend that people do, because by journaling about what you're grateful for, it just really changes your whole outlook, changes your mind and your emotions and everything about your life. So, and you would want to focus the gratitude about things on your relationship. Like, what are the things in your relationship that you are grateful for? Even if it's like, I don't know, if you're not in a place to see it right now, maybe start small. And then, like, I don't know, each day, we got the 4 of cups. Maybe each day you write down 4 things that you are grateful for in your partner and in your relationship. And maybe they're really, like, super, depending on where you are, if you're depressed or whatever, maybe they're super superficial to begin with. Like, he has nice teeth, or just stupid stuff if you can't think of anything of substance. But as you do the exercise more and more, try to, like, emotional journey, right? Emotional fulfillment. Try to think of things of more depth as time goes on, and it's like working a muscle. It will get easier to do it if this isn't something that you already do. Maybe you're already great at this. Maybe you've done this like 1,000 times before. But just in case you haven't, since I don't know you, start off small if you have problems with it. But I would definitely try to do something like that. And it takes a minute to like scratch down on the back of an envelope for things that you're grateful for, in your relationship. Now his energy in the relationship, maybe this is why you're all doom and gloom. Okay, so he's got he's got the generosity card, but it's reversed. So he's kind of not in a generous place right now. That's what's blocked for him. So I would say this is the 6 of Pentacles. This is 6s are often about struggle. And where he's struggling right now is to be a giving person in the relationship. So 6s are on the level of making sure that you're grounded, on providing, on making sure that you have food to eat, clothing to wear, a roof over your heads, and things like that. But it's also about your home life, just plain and basic home life. So it seems like sometimes this is about money, because clearly you've got a rich guy who's meting, like he's measuring out his what is it called? Like not a donation, but you know, like the money he's like giving to these poor people in the picture here. And so that's hard. That's hard for your husband to do right now, to like give of himself. So so I can see how if you're having relationship ups and downs, and then your partner is not giving for the good of the relationship right now, that's just going to be tough, right? So anyway, that's his energy. So we can't speak to him. I mean, one of the things I think the number one reason why tarot exists and why we do this is because people are afraid to have honest conversations and open conversations with people about like what's actually going on and what they're actually thinking. So if you could actually just have a talk with your husband about the fact that like you don't feel like he's contributing, or you don't, or you just, I know that sounds accusatory. I'm not like, you know what I mean? There's a way to do it where it's not accusatory and all of that sort of relationship stuff. So, I mean, if you tell him how you're feeling, you know, that would be another way you could influence the energy to turn this card right way round. Because you all have free will in this. But it looks like that's blocked right now. Now, the energy of the relationship, I don't know. For some reason, I couldn't decide between the two cards that were next to each other, so I pulled them both. Now, the energy we got is that, you know, we've already got a knight down here, so you know that knights are about exploring and seeking. So there's all this fertile ground behind the knight here. It's like a plowed field that, you know, is about it's either just been seeded or it's ready to be seeded, you know. And so this is about like planting seeds and exploring in order to bring yourself groundedness, about security in the home life and on the material plane. So this is all about making your home safe and secure. So that's what the Knight of Pentacles is all about, like making sure that you're clothed, fed, that there's peace in the house, like the household's running well, all of those sorts of things. This is the relationship energy, I would say, is like that's kind of the mode you guys need to be in. What seems like is blocked on the relationship energy, though, is the King of Cups over here. So the King of Cups, I mean, he don't look that happy. So every tarot card has a light and a dark side to it. Like, regardless of the reversals, just if you look at them plain, you know, there's always like both a positive and a negative side to a tarot card, right? So the kings are like of the court. The kings are the masters of the energy of their suit. They are authoritative. They rule with an iron fist. They are men, and you know, they're like they're the archetype of masculine energy. You know how kings would rule as opposed to queens. So this king, you know, being the king of emotions, if you notice, like the water symbolizes emotions and the cups symbolize emotion. And if you look at the water on either side of him, it's all churning around, and there's like, it's not just like big waves. It's like multiple layers of waves. So it's complicated. It's all kind of woven together, and it's like totally upset, right? There's all these waves going around. So like emotion. But what's going on with him? Like like you can see this ship in the background and a fish that's kind of jumping out of the waves, and there's all this turmoil. But he is perfectly flat. He's on this platform that's floating in the water, unaffected by the water. So he has become such a master over emotion that he's not moved by emotion anymore. So I think that there's a good side if you have control over your emotions, right? And you have mastery over your emotions. But then the dark side is that the not being moved anymore. So like people who go through traumas or get desensitized to things, you know, they might notice that they don't cry anymore, but as a consequence they don't laugh anymore either. So the pain is muted, but the joy is muted too. I think that's the dark side of the king card. So it seems like, you know, there's some definite blockage in terms of the mastery of emotion. So I would say either that I could go two ways with the energy of this. Like, you know, emotions are running out of control and there's no mastery of keeping them in check. That could be the part of it. Or it could be that, you know, because there has been conflict in the relationship and you have mastered emotions, the emotions are blocked. So like, you know, the ups and downs that you're talking about, like the highs are no longer that high because the joy is muted, and then you're so used to the lows that you're kind of not necessarily, like the lows might be muted as well, because like you're just so used to things being kind of like on the downside. So I don't know, you know better than me because you're living your life. So that's kind of the energy that I see right now in terms of the relationship. Now this is running long, so like you're very concerned about your dad's health. I think it's kind of the energy of the relationship. I feel like though, like the advice, there's an advice aspect here in the energy here. You guys need to seek material stability, stability on the material plane. That's your advice. So like, how can you guys have a grounded household? How can you guys make sure that everything's safe and secure? You're providing for each other and stuff like that. I feel like that's part of what needs to happen in the relationship energy wise. Other than that, you guys have to work on yourselves, like to get rid of the doomy gloomy thing over here, and then get rid of the stinginess. Like, how can he be giving and contribute? I think that's kind of the lesson of the relationship. Let's quickly take a look at your father's health. Let's just draw a card for your dad and see what energy comes up for him. Okay. Okay, well, this is the 7 of Cups in its reverse. So again, this is emotions, but I think, well, if you're having health problems, it's an emotional thing. So like, let's put that aside for a minute. Like the real meaning of this picture though, this is one of the few cards where the character in it has his back to us. And it's because he's taken aback, right? On an emotional level, he's overwhelmed. This usually involves a lot of choice. In a positive way, I would say that this is being spoiled for choice. Like there's so many great things for you. Yay, like you're spoiled for choice. I feel like, this came up reversed for your dad. So I feel like there's an element of his being overwhelmed by choice. And so since you're talking about having health problems, I would say that, and since this is reversed, this could be the fact that he is trying to figure out a course of action. And, being in an emotional state of having bad health, that it sounds like he is either maybe I don't know if he's like undergoing a treatment for something, for instance, and maybe he has to decide between one treatment and the next, or maybe a couple of different decisions about treatments. Maybe it's like about what kind of diet do I need to do? The diet I'm doing is not working, clearly not working, so I need to figure out some other sort of plan. I need to see a different specialist. I feel like there might just be a lot of decisions he needs to make right now, and he's feeling overwhelmed by it. So if you're really concerned about your dad's health, I don't need to pull another card for advice, because like one piece of advice is if he's feeling overwhelmed by all of these choices, like maybe whatever medical provider he's using can provide a consultant to actually help walk him through and navigate the choices. I know hospitals have that sort of role, like some sort of consulting nurse role that help you do decision making. If he doesn't have good health insurance coverage, I don't know if there's some sort of way you can find someone or an agency that does this work pro bono, so that you don't have to ruin the stability of your household by providing the money to get that kind of advice. But I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, so you have to rely on the medical experts in your life who are qualified and whatnot. But I think he probably needs some help with all of this, feeling overwhelmed by trying to make some decisions here. Let's draw a guide for him. Okay, so what's the guidance for your dad? Okay, so basically he has some planning to do. So this is the 2 of Wands. It's a person, like he's holding a globe in his hand. He's a traveler. So he's basically, this is kind of like being in an analysis phase, right? So the next card, the 3, would be about, it's like you've done all the research and now you need to make a decision and actually set things into motion. This is like before you are ready to set things into motion. This is about analyzing things. Wands are about will. They're about passion. They're about creativity. So I would say that, a part of the guidance for him is that he needs to use some creative thinking, or his advisors need to use some creative thinking to figure out how to navigate all of the choices he needs to make right now. And it's going to take a while, right? Because if you look at the wands, one is in the guy's hand, but the second wand is actually bolted to the castle, the crenellation of this building here. So he's not quite ready to set forth, right? Because this wand isn't free. Only one of the two is free. And he's got this globe in his hand, so he's in an analysis phase. This might take a while since it came up reversed. It might be difficult. But I feel like, you know, these really echo each other, right? I've got all these decisions to make, so I need to do some deep analysis, right? And maybe some of the solution might need to be creative, I think, because it came up as a wand for this rather than a sword. If this had been swords, it would have been like, okay, there's a rational, mental way to figure this out, right? Like, you know, there's a way to analyze this in a rational way. No, he got a wand though, so I feel like, you know, I don't know if he's like coming up, if one of the choices is experimental, or he's having to speak to specialists about like, you know, there's no real good way to deal with this normally, so we have to figure something out. I feel like there might be an element, like whatever has to be figured out to help him, there might be an element of creativity because like this is a rare situation, or they don't know how to deal with it or something like that. Like even the experts maybe need time to think. So I think that's the guide for your father, that like there's some real analysis that needs to happen here. I'm looking at your email again. I think we covered all the bases of the big stuff. So now I'm ready to show you the card that you chose. What's going to tie all this stuff together? Okay, it's the Fool. And this came up in the last reading too. Echoes of the last reading. So basically, I look at the Fool a little differently than most people. A lot of people call the tarot the Fool's journey. I don't think it's the Fool's journey. I think it's your journey. I think it's either the journey of your life or the journey of like a particular cycle of your life. So the way I read the Fool is that this is like the incipient state of your next cycle. So I feel like you are kind of in a womb right now, right? There's a lot of turmoil here. And so I look at the Fool like the 0 to me is kind of like an egg. So an egg is a womb, and a womb is where kind of you're awaiting birth, right? So to me, the picture of the Fool, who's like looking carefree, he's bringing his life experience with him in like attached to this wand, and he's going to basically create a life, the act of creation with this wand by using the experience he's taking with him. On a grander scale, you can look at the little bag as containing his karma, like the karmic element that he's bringing with him and being birthed with on this new journey. And I see he's quite innocent. He's got the white flower, which symbolizes innocence here. So he's about to walk off a cliff, and he doesn't even know what's about to hit him. So to me, the walking off the cliff that's about to happen, that's the impending birth of a new cycle for you. So to tie all this together, I think being born, I mean, you've seen babies come out of the womb, right? They're not exactly happy. It's like kind of traumatic. So being born is traumatic. You've got a lot on your plate right now. For this, like the types of things that, you know, in the relationship, you're like got a lot of exploring to do, and that's kind of what babies do. They explore. They're always touching, putting things in their mouth, exploring their environment. So I think like, okay, so this advice card, you got a big card that people usually look at as very favorable. So something big is about to start in your life. You're entering a new cycle basically, and you're on the cusp of a new cycle. So I feel like, you know, all the things that we talked about resolving over here. So this is what's going to get you to be birthed into a new cycle in life. So in all of these things, and we'll remember the oracle card that we drew over here. You know, Hecate is, in this deck at least, is representing the concept of illumination. We have, you know, the element of illumination here. I think it's everywhere in this reading, right? Illumination, in order to facilitate this new birth, it's like, okay, there's the analysis and the decision-making here for your father. There's the figuring out how it is that you can change your outlook so that you can remove the chains that are kind of sticking you, keeping you stuck in a place of addiction. Exploring is a type of illumination. Becoming peaceful by focusing on work over here is, I think, and learning, like, not necessarily learning, exploring a skill, over here that we talked about, a craft, is another type of illumination, because it kind of puts you in a place where you can be receptive of the other things by calming things down. So this would be an illumination if you can pull your attention away from what you don't have and into what's being divinely offered to you. So there's illumination throughout the reading. And I think, this is part of the key to getting to this, like getting out of the womb and being born anew into a new cycle of your life. I think that's all I'm going to say. So it sounds like you are in a very rough period right now. I hope this advice is helpful to you, or I don't think, this isn't really advice because you can do whatever you want, and I don't know you. I hope, hopefully this will bring you some insight. Hopefully, even if you disagree with what's being said here, it will help you on your path, and it will give you some insights in how to move forward and to move to a better place. So thanks for the opportunity to read for you, and take care.